This lesson is understanding fractions and comparing larger and smaller using pizza slices. The Common Core standard was explain the equivalence of fractions in special cases and compare fractions by reasoning about their size. Some of the learning objectives included students be able to recognize and compare larger and smaller pieces of pizza. Students demonstrate their ability to count. They will understand that a pizza pie consists of 8 separate slices, and they will also be able to identify parts in whole using fractions. Some of the measurement tools used in this lesson included students being able to differentiate when different slices are placed in front of them. They'll be asked to choose the larger slice. Students will count the slices of pizza by ones up to the number 8. Students will cut the pizza in half and identify the fraction 1/2. And they'll also identify that 8 separate slices of pizza can be combined to conform one whole pie, or the fraction 8/8. Context of the setting was New Hyde Park Memorial High School, which is located in Nassau County, Long Island. The class was a developmental learning center and was comprised of 3 classrooms serving students with multiple disabilities from the ages of 13 to 21. It implemented a 6-1-2 classroom approach, meaning there are a maximum of 6 students, 1 head teacher, and 2 teaching assistants in the class at all times. The teaching assistants are with the students for the entire school day, including an adaptive physical education class and certain elective courses such as art and home and careers. The students were also instructed using functional language-based curriculum to improve their receptive and expressive language. Intensive related services were also provided in accordance with the students' IEPs, or Individualized Education Plan. So for the lesson, students will view the Counting with Pizza PowerPoint, which looks something like this, where they'll be asked to come up to the board and identify how many slices of pizza they see. Some students will be asked to count the number of slices, while others will be asked to add them up and get a total number. Each student came up to the board and counted the slices of pizza on their designated slide. Then they identified and compared which pizza slice is bigger and which was smaller. Students who grasp the concept of comparison will also be challenged to add the slices together using their addition skills. After each student had gone to the board, the students will next discuss the different topics they will be using to make their own pizzas. They will discuss the shape and color as well as what it will be used for. Students will receive their own brown circles cut from construction paper, and they will use this as the dough for their pizza. Students counted by denominations of 1 slice up to 8, while the teacher explained that 8 pizza slices is equivalent to 1 pie. Students will begin to model and make their own pizzas by numbering 8 separate slices of pizza. The teacher modeled this on the board with different slices and individually placed each slice onto the pie crust. As each slice was added onto the pie, students discussed the fraction of slices to pie. For example, when 4 slices had been added, students will make the connection that 4 out of the 8 slices is equivalent to 1/2 of the pizza pie. Students will then add and count slices of pepperoni and cheese and glue them to their own pizza pies. Students will finish this activity by writing fractions 1/8 on each slice of pizza being glued to their pie. Students were assessed using a fraction worksheet, and the students will be asked to write the fraction each slice represents from 1/8 to 8/8 of the pie. For this particular lesson, we focused on the student who had intellectual disabilities and was diagnosed according to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which often shows sub-average general intellectual functioning while existing at the same time with deficits in adaptive behavior. These deficits oftentimes manifested during the developmental period and have adverse effects on children's educational performance. For this particular student, the annual goal was to recognize the fractions including 1/2 and a whole with 85% success rate over a 2-week span. The method of assessment was class participation and teacher-devised worksheets. This particular student requires a considerable amount of assistance to complete mathematical tasks. The student struggles to recognize fractions and has a hard time comparing, reasoning, and understanding equivalent fractions. Some of the issues this particular student had was significant delays and required a small teacher-to-student ratio program with minimal distractions in order to academically progress. Student requires one-to-one assistance to complete most activities and needs a structured environment and routine to help progress academically. The student learned best from hands-on activities as well as model and examples that the needs of the individualized attention to help remain on task. For this particular student, the student was assigned a one-to-one aid, and he was also provided a fraction chart at the desk while completing the activity. Academic vocabulary for this specific lesson included the words bigger, smaller, fraction, piece, whole, pizza pie, pizza slice, 1/2, 1/8, and other fractions. The assessment tool used was the pizza fraction worksheet, and teacher devised questions throughout the lesson. This was the worksheet used during this lesson. As you can see, 1/8 represented 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, and so on, and the students were asked to name each piece of the pizza pie, and they had a key at the bottom where it showed them 4/8 is equal to 1/2, and 8/8 is equal to 1 or 1 whole of the whole pizza pie.